Usado looks for the fox girl, but she hides from him. When he asks a guard about her, Rose shows up, and the guard runs away. Usado jokes that the guard is still scared of Rose, but she doesn't like it and lifts him by the head. Rose explains she went to scout at the border and saw the demon army trying to cross the river by building a bridge. She destroyed it to delay them. Usado jokes again, asking if scouts are supposed to do that, and she lifts him by the head again. Later, Usado asks about the fox girl, and Rose says she appeared 2 years ago at just 12 years old after avoiding bandits and kidnappers. Rose mentions demi-humans have rare magical abilities, and Usado wonders if the fox girl can predict the future. Rose says some demi-humans can do that, but it's rare. Usado tells her he was just curious after reading about it, but suspects the fox girl might have this power. Rose reports the demon army situation to the king, who realizes the invasion will begin once the bridge is rebuilt. The king plans to inform the people and asks sigils to bring Kazuki and Suzune. Kazuki and Suzune, on their way to meet the king, run into Celia, who looks worried. Suzune wonders if something happened between her and Kazuki. Back at the rescue house, Usado can't sleep, thinking about the vision the fox girl showed him. He wonders if she wants him to change the future. He sees lights outside and finds Kazuki, who says the king told him about the demon invasion. Kazuki admits he's scared and ran from the castle because he never took the situation seriously. Usado tells him it's okay to be scared and that he'll fight to protect the kingdom, including Kazuki. He says they'll still be friends even if Kazuki doesn't fight. Encouraged, Kazuki decides to fight. Suzune appears and asks why Usado isn't surprised to see her. He guesses she followed Kazuki, and they talk about how Usado doesn't want Kazuki to fight. She asks if he feels the same about her, and he says yes, but her case is different because she wants to live here. She then returns to the castle. The next day, the king announces the invasion and plans to fight the demons on the grasslands, motivating his soldiers by reminding them they have heroes in the rescue squad on their side. Before the battle, Kazuki visits Celia, and she wishes for his safe return. Meanwhile, Oruru tries to pet Blurrin, but he avoids her, and Kukuru appears but also doesn't let her pet him, making her angry. Usado hears Orga's cry as he falls while carrying supplies, and he helps him. Orga says it's Ururu's first battle, and she's hiding her nervousness. Usado is then called to see Rose, and he feels nervous since he's never been called to her room before. In her room, Rose tells Usado they won't be on the front lines right away, as there won't be many wounded people at first. She warns him to be careful about who he heals, and not to interfere with those still fighting. She gives him his rescue uniform, making him stand out on the battlefield, and reminds him to value his own life, as part of his job is to save himself too. Usado promises to save everyone, including himself, and is determined to keep Kazuki and Suzune safe, no matter what the vision showed him. The rescue team heads to camp, and Usado asks Rose about the demons. She explains they are demi-humans with twisted horns, stronger and with more mana than humans. Even their regular soldiers are tough. Rose jokes about how Usado became strong despite being a kid dragged into all this, which Usado finds ironic because she trained him so hard. The story flashes back to 5 years ago. The king talks to Rose and others about demon army sightings and suggests assigning guards to merchants traveling in the grasslands. After the meeting, Sigil asks Rose for her opinion, and she believes the demons might invade. Sigil prepares his forces just in case, while Rose decides to be ready as well. Owl, Rose's deputy commander, interrupts her thoughts, and Rose scolds her for eavesdropping. Owl shrugs it off and says if demons attack, they'll just send them back. Rose feels Owl is underestimating the enemy and assigns her to supervise training, which makes Owl nervous. At the training base, Rose promises to whip the soldiers into shape, shocking them. They blame Owl for the hard training, and when Owl calls them weak, they gang up on her. She asks Rose for help, but Rose ignores it. A week later, the king informs Rose that demons have attacked monsters in their territory. He asks her to investigate and use force if necessary. Rose plans to search the Linger Forest, where they expect around 30 demons. While preparing, Owl tries to motivate the soldiers, but they blame her for the tough training. That night, they take turns watching the campfire. Rose notices Owl is still awake and asks why she chose her as deputy commander. Owl thinks she's average and only good at writing reports, but Rose says that's important work. If Owl keeps it up, Rose might pass the command to her, which shocks Owl. Owl insists she's not fit to lead, and that Rose is the only one who should be commander. Rose recalls that Owl was once a strong knight who didn't listen to her superiors. After losing to Rose in a fight, Owl became determined to defeat her. but Rose reminds her that she chose her because she's persistent. Rose reassures Owl that if she keeps pushing, others will follow her. However, Rose will always remain the leader. Later, Rose assigns Owl to the next watch shift. The rest of the team pretends to sleep, though they had been awake during the conversation. When Owl realizes they were listening, she chases them, threatening to beat them up. The next day, the team scouts the west side of the forest, finding blood and monster tracks. Soon, they spot demons capturing beasts. The demon leader notices them, and Rose asks about their mission. He refuses to answer and threatens to kill them. Rose offers a chance to avoid conflict if they return, but they choose to fight instead. Rose puts Owl in charge, and both sides engage in battle. The demon leader tries to use wind magic on Rose, but she dodges and uses trees for cover. She lands a hit, but it doesn't do much damage. The demon traps Rose in a wind barrier filled with blades, but she breaks through it and heals herself. He introduces himself as Nero Argents and realizes that Rose's combination of healing and strength makes her a tough opponent. Nero pulls out his sword, declaring he will kill her, and their fight continues. Rose's squad faces tough demons, but they manage to overpower them by working together. Meanwhile, Rose notices that Nero's sword is cursed and avoids letting it touch her. When Nero attacks, she sends him flying. He admits he didn't expect such trouble during his monster hunt and finds Rose's group to be the most difficult humans he's faced. Nero mentions that soon demons will no longer fear humans once his lord awakens, a cruel but powerful ruler who will bring prosperity to demonkind. Nero vows to destroy Rose and her companions using his cursed sword. The demon soldiers start fighting recklessly, sacrificing themselves and killing Rose's squad members. Rose tries to help, but is blocked by Nero, who cuts her eye with his cursed sword. This wound temporarily disrupts her mana flow, making it hard for her to heal herself or her team. With half her vision gone, Rose struggles in the fight. Nero almost kills her, but Owl jumps in to save her, taking the fatal blow. Rose realizes all her squad members are dead and remembers their enthusiasm before the mission, blaming herself for overestimating her power. Enraged, Rose catches Nero's sword and beats him down, pinning him to a tree with his own weapon. Just as she prepares to kill him, Amilla, a demon, saves Nero. Seeing Amilla's loyalty to her master, Rose remembers Owl's sacrifice and spares them. Rose tries to heal Owl, but it's too late. Owl dies, expressing no regrets and feeling honored to have served under Rose. Rose is heartbroken, crying over her fallen squad. Later, Rose reports the battle and the demon threat to the king, requesting to be removed from her position as battalion commander and stripped of her knighthood. Returning to the squad houses, she meets the parents of a fallen squad member. Instead of blaming her, they thank Rose for bringing their son into her care and note that he looked content in death. A month later, Sigil visits Rose. He mentions the king visited her and asks if he convinced her to return. Rose explains the king only wanted to check on her, but she feels she's better off dead. Sigil scolds her for thinking that way and notices her eye wound is healing. He asks why she hasn't fully healed it, but Rose says the scar is her reminder of her failure and a punishment so she won't forget her squad's deaths. Rose imagines Owl, who encourages her to accept change while reminding her that she will always be their leader. Owl's last words to Rose were to become the person they admired. Rose, filled with determination, vows to create a force where no one dies in battle. She plans to recruit 5 members, including 2 healers and someone like herself to fight alongside her. Back in the present, Rose tells Usado she's glad she found him, surprising him with a rare compliment. She believes the world needs healers like him and praises his unique abilities. Meanwhile, the demons finish building their bridge, preparing for battle, but their leader, the Black Knight, is eager for a challenge.